Welcome back to another edition of the Net Report Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Broadbent. Joining me once again is my co-host, Richie Schneiderite. We're going to do something a little different today. We did our game preview yesterday for Rutgers versus Virginia Tech, Saturday at 3:30 p.m. Thanks again to David Cunningham for coming on. Late last night, Richie put up a cut-up of every throw from Gavin Wimsatt versus Temple. We're going to do a little tape breakdown, go through every throw, talk about what we're seeing, talk about where he's done really good things, talk about where he can improve. And then after that, we're going to go and do a bit of a 2024 basketball recruiting update. Richie's got some new intel on AceBailey, basically the whole class of 2024, and top target DylanHarper. So stick around for that for basketball fans. And we really haven't talked about basketball recently because football is doing really well so far, and it's football season, so it makes a lot of sense. Anyway, so let's kind of dive right into this. This will be our first time doing a largely screen shared episode. So let me just make sure I'm doing this right here. All right, Rich, you can see that, right?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So I'm going to keep the sound off because I don't really think we need it.
What a sick intro.
All right. All right, first throw of the game, 1st and 10, 12 minutes, 15 seconds left on the clock.
You could just see it right away. That DB is just playing so off.
Yep. Off coverage, out route to Christian Dremel for 8 yards. Next throw here is 3rd and 8 from around the 50. Got to have it down.
They really play off on Dremel. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Another tough contested catch there for JaQuay Jackson. Good throw. The DBs are continuing to play off, giving our receivers a lot of space. 2 great throws so far. Next play, 2nd and 9 from the Temple 21. Play action. Sails it over. I don't know. So this is the one that Christian Dremel got rocked. He was dealing with a rib injury the rest of the game. There was a play stoppage here. From watching it, and I'll go back again, I don't know if this is supposed to be intended for Dremel or if it's supposed to be intended for Isaiah Washington. Because if you look where he throws it here, obviously Dremel's wide open. If he throws that on a rope, it's first down, but he sails it a bit.
Yeah, Washington's a touchdown.
Washington's a touchdown here. I don't know if it's overthrown to Dremel, like I said, or underthrown to Washington, but either way, this is a bad throw. 2nd week in a row that Gavin puts his receiver in a dangerous position around multiple defensive backs. The first week it was JaQuay Jackson. This week it's Christian Dremel.
Yeah.
And I don't know what Dremel's dealing with. I don't think he'll miss any time, but he's going to be dealing with some pain.
See, now I think it was 10 and out, but if you see, obviously he's more than 10 now, and he's reaching, so it does look like it was overthrown. But like you said, it's tough to say. Like, did he fuck up? He fucked up, but did he fuck up short? Did he fuck up long?
Yeah. So that's the first bad throw of the game.
God, he got nailed.
That's a touchdown for Washington if he catches it.
I'm gonna throw a tidbit real quick. He's gonna be healthy.
Go for it. He's gonna be healthy.
I think so.
Good to hear.
Because I think he came back in the game after 2 fucking series. I thought he broke a rib.
He came back and he played a lot, but he went down later in the game as well. On the side, near the sideline. So we have 3rd and 9 here from the Temple 22. I believe this is the slant to Washington. Oh, this is a screen to Washington. Really well executed play. Washington just coughs it up. That's 3 points at least. I don't know if they would have gone for it because if you look back, I think he goes down at around the 13-yard line. No, around let's call it the 14. So that would set up, a 4th and 3 from Temple's 14-yard line. I think they would have taken the points here. I don't think they would have went for it on 4th down.
Can you go back to the beginning again?
Sure.
Because Rochelle, I know it's like a screenplay, but like Rochelle just shitty block. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now
so
I think is that the guy that forced it too?
It is the guy who forced it. So
there you go.
You're not expecting a trail defender there because you're expecting your receiver to seal off that block, and he doesn't. So he kind of hits him out of nowhere, punches the ball out.
And Chafani whiffed on a block too. Jesus.
Yeah. So that's 3 points that you're giving up as a team. But thankfully the defense really kind of stiffened up all game.
The defense is going to carry this team. There's no question about it.
Yep. So what do we got here? We got 1st and 10 from the Rutgers 43.
Get it out quick. Drummel's wide open.
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
Play action. Tipped at the line, it looks like. So at this point, Gavin is 3 for 5 on the day for 31 yards. And this is where Gavin just kind of has probably the best stretch of the game for him.
Who's the lineman down in the middle of the field?
Mm-hmm. So we got 2nd and 10 here from, again, the 43 of Rutgers.
Nice pickup
That's a tough
by
catch
Benjamin.
for Jaquay Jackson, but he does put it where only the receiver can get to it along the sideline. And that seems to be the kind of throws that Gavin's most comfortable with, is the out-breaking stuff rather than the in-breaking stuff.
Yeah.
Because really, you're either throwing a completion to your receiver or it's going out of bounds. So
yeah, middle of the field is just not his MO.
Yep. So we got 1st and 10 here from the Temple 32. Or sorry, the Temple 33.
Davon Fuse up there? Ian Strong? I can't tell. On top.
Right there.
Yeah. It's one of those two.
I can't tell. Yeah.
I think it's Ian. Who actually looks done.
This was one of the best throws of the day for Gavin. As you can see here, Temple looks like they get caught in, a blown coverage. Sean Benjamin's wide open. You can see here, there's not anybody within 15 yards of the guy.
That safety.
Great throw by Gavin. Hits him full speed. And this is the play that Deshaun Benjamin had one of the fastest runs in all of college football this past weekend. I believe he hit a max speed of 21.2 miles an hour. And it looks like it just looks like a car accident at the end. He slides an additional 10 to 15 yards out of bounds. I mean, it's unfortunate too that they didn't call it a touchdown right away, because he's just kind of writhing in pain on the ground, can't even celebrate. But great throw by Gavin there. One of 2 really good throws out of the backfield, hitting a running back. So we got 2nd and 7 here from the Rutgers 34.
It was Ian Strong, by the way, because that's Ian Strong again.
Ian Strong. Yeah. Okay. So this is the one play that Gavin probably missed the most on. So if you look here, he throws a slant to Isaiah Washington. If you hit Isaiah Washington in stride here rather than away from his body, look at all the space he has in front of him here.
Yeah.
He's got nothing but green. He's probably got another, at minimum, 10 to 15 yards on this play. And if the DB takes a bad angle, this might be a house call.
Yeah.
But instead it's just
too.
Instead it's just a nice completion for about probably 14 yards.
Something like that.
So it's a completion. It'll go on the stat sheet as a completion, but there's a lot more that could have been had on that throw. So we got 1st and 10 here from the Rutgers 19. Another play action pass.
A pickup by Johnny.
Yep, this is a great outbreaking route by Isaiah Washington. This is the one that came back due to a hold, but it was a great throw by Gavin. Hit his guy in stride. Just one of his better throws on the day, in my opinion. So we got 2nd and 20 here from the Rutgers 9-yard line. This is the Jaquay Jackson bomb.
Yeah,
and on 2nd and 20, it's that much more important that you make this completion. Best throw of the day, in my opinion, by Gavin.
I don't know if I clipped this part, but he showed beforehand, because they're like pre-snap takes forever. So I just tried to clip it to make it a little bit shorter, and he saw something right away. He saw the coverage and went up to the line. He's like, "Oh shit, never mind. Hold on, do this."
Yep.
So it was really good adjustment.
61-yard bomb to Jaquay Jackson. I mean, this is the kind of guy we didn't have last year.
Yeah.
That game-stretching, explosive receiver on the outside. Great throw by Gavin, right on the money, in stride. You can't say much more. That was a big-time throw.
Imagine Jaquay with last year's wide receiver core.
I mean, he'd be the wide receiver 1 by far. We got 2nd and 10 here from the Temple 30. So if you're watching at home, if you're not, Gavin at this point is 8 for 10 for 142 yards and a touchdown. I talked about this on the boards, but this is the point of the game where the offense kind of started to slow down. 7:41 left in the second quarter. Gavin throws 7 consecutive incompletions from here into the third quarter, just to spoil a little bit for those watching.
Dude, what if I was watching on tape delay?
So 2nd and 10. This is a high throw to Isaiah Washington. You ideally make that catch, but it's hard to overthrow Isaiah Washington. It was a curl route on the outside. Just threw it probably a yard too high. 3rd and 10 here from...
It goes back to like what McMahon was saying. Like if you throw it too hard, sometimes it's like it's way too hard and it's going to sail upward. And
yep,
it's kind of what you see there.
Yep. So 3rd and 10 here with 7:31 left in the second. Rutgers is on the Temple 30-yard line. 10-0 game. Gavin throws to the middle of the field, targeting Christian Dremel, just nowhere near him.
That's a bad one.
At least he put it in a position where nobody could catch it, because ideally you don't want to throw it directly to your defender either. But this is 1st and 10 from the Rutgers 39-yard line. 20 seconds left on the clock in the second quarter.
This is where they botched it completely, I thought.
Yeah, I thought they should have. Well,
not this exactly, but this drive. Like they should have had a field goal here.
This is a touchdown here. So Jaquay Jackson is,
gone.
Blown past the corner. The safety's trying to help out in coverage. Gavin overthrows it by, 10 yards out of bounds. Yeah. So we got 1st and 10 here from the Rutgers 44-yard line. 7 seconds left. This is the Hail Mary. I don't hold this against them. Hail Mary.
But this is after they used that timeout, and it was a little questionable. I think they had a run play in between that too, and it's like, what are we doing? Like,
yep. What I don't like about this play call, and maybe not the play call, but Gavin, just watch the shot he takes at the end of this play. You don't need to take that shot. You run out of bounds. He's got to learn to just kind of live another day, and he's young. He will learn that. But that was a big shot that, that could have been another like rib injury. And then he's, limited the rest of the season.
But no one talked about it. Like they were on the 44, 43 or something like that?
Yeah, the 43-yard line of Rutgers.
Just hit a 51-yarder. Your kicker just hit a 40-something yarder. Like you have 7 seconds. Throw a fucking route that goes along the sideline and try to get a field goal.
Yeah.
Get more points on the board.
Yeah, you would think, but it's not what happened. You would probably need 15 yards at least to set up.
Yeah, that's such a thing that Shiano's always had troubles with, even like 1.0. Like his time management, his clock management's just not great at all.
Well, even a 15-yard gain there sets up a 59-yard field goal, so you probably need
a lot.
A 20-yard gain, so that's not really realistic. So
chucking down the field when there's 4 safeties back there or 4 DBs.
Yeah, it's in college. It's not really a realistic situation to set up a field goal. Now that I'm rewatching this again, 2nd and 7 here, 13-17 left on the clock in the third quarter. Gavin drops back, throws to the middle of the field. That guy was open. That was a slant. He had Christian Dremel. He had to step on his on the corner defending him. You got to complete that. Setting up. Okay, so another drive. 2nd and 11. Gavin at this point is 8 for 15. So like I said, this is another incompletion coming.
Gotta love the field position.
Mm-hmm.
That was after the 4th and turnovers, right?
Yep. So Gavin's got a wide open Johnny Langan here. Throws it to the, Johnny's breaking to the outside towards the sideline. He throws it towards the middle of the field. That was just a really, really bad throw.
Yeah.
And he also put that in harm's way too, because the defender, if he broke on that a little bit earlier, that was one of the easiest pick sixes you'll have in your career as a football player.
Yeah.
We got 1st and 10 here from the Rutgers 12-yard line. That was just that looked like there might have been a hold. Jaquay Jackson's asking for the flag.
Yeah.
Wasn't a terrible throw. That one you kind of don't put on anybody. That should have been a flag for a hold.
Is this where they
All
caught
right.
him? No.
So this is third down here from the
So
Rutgers
unprepared.
18-yard line.
This should have been such a big chunk. They were so unprepared there.
Yeah, that was the hurry up. Christian Dremel gets an out route for about 12 yards, picking up the first down.
Go back to like the beginning of that play though.
Sure.
Because like, look, this one's facing this way. This one's facing like they're not even paying attention now. The defense.
Yeah. So we're gonna run that back. They're confused. They caught a guy running off the field.
There's only a 3-man rush. The fourth man comes in like 2 seconds later. Like,
mm-hmm. So we got a 3rd and 9 here to Christian Dremel. This is the one that he ended up coming off the field again, shaken up because he had to really extend. It was way over his head. It wasn't gonna be a first down anyway. But if you look in the on the outside here, Quay Jackson's open, but I mean it's also because
Bauman right in the middle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bauman's open, but he's also got another 5 yards here to have to go get.
But Jaquay right there, you're right.
He's also got the running back leaking out of the backfield.
He had some options.
Some options.
It's still a chunk play.
Yep. And there was a flag on that play too. I don't remember what the flag was called for.
I think it was an illegal substitution on Temple.
Okay.
They didn't have enough or too many men on the field.
Yep, so it didn't end up really mattering. Setting up a 3rd and 4 from the Rutgers 37. Gavin puts Isaiah Washington in motion, realizes it's man coverage, and he's able to step away. I thought he did a great job avoiding the rush here. It's tough to say that he should have completed that with the defender hanging all over his ankle. I thought it was impressive that he even got that ball off, even semi-accurately.
Who's the lineman in the backfield? Who left that up? I'm just curious. Is it Pierce?
Tell me. That looks like Pierce. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yep.
This might have been the one he got a call on too. Did he get a holding call? Yeah,
I think he did. Yeah. But I think they declined it, setting up 4th down.
Yeah.
So we've entered the 4th quarter here, 14:51. This is right after Temple had scored, I believe. Yep, this is right after Temple had scored. So this is where I felt they started to kind of turn themselves back on as an offense and started to be aggressive again. So 1st and 10 from the 25. Play action. Quay Jackson just gets wide open once again. Perfect throw. Gets out of bounds. And I believe from there to now, you notice we've moved quite a bit on the field, and that's because Kyle Monungai was just running all over them. They scored a rushing touchdown. This was the 2-point conversion attempt. That was incomplete, or it wasn't incomplete, but it was unsuccessful to Rashad Rochelle. Yeah. I thought he could have tried to extend here, like right at the end, but he didn't. I believe that there was a turnover. Yep, a pick that set this up, and there were some runs in between. So it's 3rd and goal here from the Temple 5-yard line. Rutgers is up 19-7, 10-12 left on the clock.
This is where the Temple DB steps up, right? Where there's like a little questionable.
Yeah, this was the clear DPI on Washington in the corner. Gavin actually throws a good ball here, but the DB doesn't even really turn around. He puts his hands all over Washington. Washington's got one arm being held down by the DB.
The reference right there.
I don't know how that wasn't DPI. I don't put that on Gavin. That was a good throw. No. They just didn't call it. So it's 3rd and 7 here at the Temple 29-yard line. 6:33 left on the clock. Rutgers is up 22-7. This is one you kind of want to have, especially because later in the season you're going to need plays like this against better opponents. And Gavin drops back. There's a perfect pass to Sam Brown, setting up a very eerily similar play to what Jashawn Benjamin saw earlier in the game. So that was kudos to Kirk Soraka seeing that mismatch again and calling the same play, because Temple clearly hadn't made an adjustment and Rutgers took advantage. So that's all the throws from Gavin on Saturday. I think it's helpful just to kind of see them all and discuss them all to really get a feel of how he did. I thought he had a good game. There were some clear things that he could clean up on tape, and that'll come as the season goes on. He missed some wide open players, but he hasn't turned the ball over. He's put the ball in harm's way very infrequently. So you can't deny that he's made improvements from last year to this year.
Yeah,
I just think, as you can see, there's still a ways to go, and that's not a bad thing. That just shows that there's more untapped ceiling to his game.
I just love the fact they're using our running backs as weapons in the pass game for a change. Like, and it's
totally
clear
agree.
Benjamin's good at it. Like, we saw Monangai earlier in the year. Sam Brown, good pass catcher. Like, it's just nice to see for a change. Although Sam Brown on that one catch was he looked a little weird on that run. Maybe I'm crazy.
His gait looked a little weird.
Yeah.
And I mean, in fairness, I don't think we saw a whole lot of him like long striding last year, basically just not having defenders around him. It's mostly been him up the middle or him, breaking a tackle. So it's tough to say if it looks much different from last year, but it did look a little strange. But glad to see he's healthy. Really happy for him to get back on the field and score a touchdown. I think he scored a touchdown the following play in that drive.
I believe so. Because they gave him the 1 yard thing, and then the running backs overall, man, that running back room is deep. Then Salam comes in, and Salam runs 6 times for a touchdown. Like,
I think it's arguably the deepest group on the team. When you look at Sam Brown, Aaron Young, Kyle Monangai, Deshaun Benjamin, and Al-Shadi Salam. That is 5 legitimate weapons in the Big Ten. And honestly, there's not many Big Ten teams in general who can really boast that. Yeah. Certain teams where, like, maybe the 5th best Ohio State running back doesn't even play, but he would play at, every other school. But in terms of guys who actually get on the field, Rutgers is right up there at running back.
Yeah. Question.
I thought I think that went better than I expected. We should do that every week. Is there anything else football related you wanted to discuss before we hop into basketball recruiting?
Got a couple things. Nassim Brantley, the issue with his eligibility. So if you look back, he technically, I have to pull this up again. God damn it. Nassim Brantley started out at Sacred Heart. So do the math real quick. There's more than just Western Illinois being a pain in the ass right now. 2019, he played 5 games. That's year one. So it doesn't count as redshirt.
Yep.
That's 2018, I'm sorry. 2019, he played in 10 games, so it's 2. That was weird. That was weird, too. Why did you do it? You're dumb. 2021 was COVID because it was spring 2021 when they played, so that doesn't count. Then they played fall 2021, so that's 3. And here's where the eligibility issue is, I think, because you count that the 2020 season is supposed to be free. But they did 2021, so that's where it's weird with the NEC and all those other weird ones. But they played back-to-back seasons in that same year, so that's where it's weird. That's 3. 2022 would be 4. That would be at Western Illinois, and then 2023 would be 5. That'd be 5 years of playing, not counting the 6 would be the COVID year or COVID spring. So I think that's where the issue lies most in. And then it sounds like Western Illinois is not doing really any favors. And that's kind of, I feel like, why Greg mentioned he had a significant leg break. And it's like, wonder why we're talking about that. Because probably I can't imagine Western Illinois' rehab is that good. I mean, like I said last time, I think their coaches get paid similar to high school coaches. Like.
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. I disconnected for a sec. I don't think the Brantley issue is going to be solved. I think it's going to be denied. I don't know if he'll be eligible next year. That's the big question mark. If he is, great. If not, then damn, that sucks.
Yep.
Other thing, we did the tape review. Jayween Matthews. He decommitted from Penn State the other day. Toms River North high school kid, number 1 kid in state, I believe, for 2025. Looking around, NIL is a big thing for him in his recruitment. There's no question about that. Sounds like Georgia has the biggest offer, I would say, on the table right now. I do think he's going to end up at Georgia. I don't think that's a secret, but Rutgers is pushing. So we will see what happens there. He is interested in an idea of staying home, and that would be a hell of a fucking kickstart to the class. Not only are you picking up a decommitment from Penn State, you're picking up the number 1 kid in the state early, and I think he's number 70 overall for our rankings. So that's also pretty big. And then other than that, last thing real quick, 2026 rankings came out for the top 100 yesterday. Yes, 2026. Yes, that is 14 years past my high school graduation day. That's kind of wild. That's probably nothing compared to some of the people that are listening to this pod. But no offense. No, but that's 2026 is wild. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, it's 19 years past mine, so.
Ah, geez. Well, I made you feel old now too.
Well,
There's only two significant names I noticed. Preston Carey, New York, St. Anthony's kid. Rutgers building a good connection there between Corey Duff, Ian Strong, both committed. Both, one signed, one's going to sign. But yeah, Preston Carey's a big name kid, but there's rumors he's going to go down to IMG, so keep an eye on that. Got every offer in the country. I think he's at 46, 43, one of those two. And then the other one would be Jordan Thomas. Doesn't have a Rutgers offer yet. Not that Jordan Thomas, different Jordan Thomas. He's at Bergen Catholic, DB, one of their top guys right now, playing playing corner while Kyle Sanders plays up top at safety. But yeah, those are the two names to keep an eye on for 2026. And moving on to basketball.
Yeah, so you've gotten some really great intel over the past few days regarding Rutgers 24 class recruiting. You posted it to the board, I believe on, Tuesday? You posted a pretty juicy update?
Yeah, I think it was Tuesday.
It's either Tuesday or Wednesday.
Lose track of the days now. Like, it's not fun.
So let's first start off with the updates to the members in the current class. So let's talk AceBailey. Where is his? So they're trying to get the entire 2024 class to visit over homecoming weekend.
Correct.
And you have some confirmed visitors for that weekend. So just talk about the confirmed visitors we have for homecoming weekend for the 24 class for basketball.
So technically, if you took an official visit in spring, you were allowed to take an official visit in fall. Totally different academic year, academic calendar, yada, 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 yada. So it works really well for hoops recruits because they can take an official visit to Rutgers and take another official visit to Rutgers. Yep. For football, that's not the case. I think you're only allowed to take one per school, but you still have unlimited visits, so it doesn't really matter. I was talking to Lathan Sommerville. I was talking to Bryce Dortch the other day, and both of them were like, hey, we're going to campus October. We're going there for the homecoming weekend. And I was like, oh, cool, perfect. And I was like, you know what? I'd be dumb not to reach out to everyone and just make sure. So reached out to a couple people, and then I'm like, oh, shit, AceBailey is going to be there too. That makes a lot more sense. And then still waiting to hear back from Dylan Grant. So technically he can't take an official, I don't think, because his was August. But I don't know how that works.
Calendar turnover is July 1st, if I remember correctly.
So he can take an unofficial, which, I mean, at this point, I always find it wild. Like, and this is just me going off track a little bit, but I always find it wild. Like, these kids are like, yeah, you know, I can't like get on an unofficial visit. I need to take an official. And I'm like, dude, you're getting free college no matter where you go. Like, there's got to be a college fund somewhere for you. And it's just got to be like, screw it, use it now. I'm getting free college.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I would assume they're going to try to get Dylan Grant there too, but nothing's official from him yet. That's when I think Dylan's going to try to visit too, it sounds like. It sounds like he wants to visit Rutgers in October. Homecoming weekend makes the most sense. It's October 13th. You have every Rutgers alum, Rutgers. Anyone that has to do with Rutgers will be there because it's homecoming. That's just how it works. So it makes a lot of sense. Now, the bad news is that there's rumors of Dylan going to Kansas the week before. For they call it late night in the fog. It's like midnight madness, but whatever. Cooper Flagg's visiting that weekend. Cooper Flagg and him have been spending a ton of time together on all these camp circuits, whatever you want to call them. They were at the Under Armour game. They were at the Team USA. What's that other thing? Rucker Park. Mind you, I was told if you look back, those stats aren't completely accurate for Cooper Flagg, but it's besides the point. At Rucker, apparently inflated a little bit. But it's besides the point. Whatever. You got to inflate the number one recruit stats if you're at Rucker, I guess. Whatever. It wasn't me. But yeah, so the rumor is he's going to go to Kansas that weekend and then Rutgers the weekend after. Neither is set in stone. So mind you, these aren't confirmed dates, but they are working out that. He also is supposed to go to Auburn sometime in September. There's one rumor saying that it's going to start be a visit starting tomorrow. There's another that might be the week after, the 22nd, 23rd, whatever it is. So, although it sounds like Auburn is not much of a threat at all whatsoever, even if they do get a visit, it's just more of a formality. He just wants to go visit. Bruce Pearl is a great recruiter, mind you. I know everyone's gonna be like, yeah, he's only a good recruiter because he cheats, but no, he's a good recruiter at the end of the day. I'll give him that. So, well, that's kind of the latest on Dylan. We're just kind of just waiting at this point, and it's like TikTok, kind of getting tired of it.
Yeah, but I mean, it'll be good based on that schedule. Rutgers would get the final official visit, assuming he doesn't take another to Duke or another to Indiana, because the visit for Rutgers would be October 13th to the 15th, I believe. That's homecoming weekend.
Yeah.
And I know I've talked about this with some people. Rutgers might be in a position where they get bowl eligible that day if the season goes the way that, the optimists in the crowd think it might go, in terms of Rutgers taking care of business in the out-of-conference and maybe winning some games that they might be an underdog in on their schedule against opponents who aren't looking as good as you would have expected them to at the beginning of the year. I'm looking at you, Michigan State. I'm looking at you, Wisconsin.
No confidence in Michigan.
So, I mean,
I know I think they might be the best team in the country, but that's besides the point.
They might be, and depending on the line that comes out next week, I might be making a pretty hefty bet on Rutgers in that game, but we'll see, I guess. But I mean, I think October 13th will be the 8th game of the season for Rutgers, if I remember correctly, because you got the two we've already played. Then you got Virginia Tech this weekend. You got Michigan following. Then you got Wagner. Then you got Wisconsin, and then you got. So I guess would that be Game 7?
Yeah, Game 7.
Game 7, and then you play Indiana, I think, the following week.
Correct, I believe. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So it would be the 7th game. So most likely you're not getting bowl eligible that day. I take that back. In the pie in the sky world, maybe you do, but in the realistic world, you don't. But still, it'll be a good atmosphere. If Rutgers is, let's just say, 4-2 going into that game or 5-1, then the crowd will be there. Especially because I think it's one of Mel Tucker won't. That's true. Rutgers Michigan State is one of the more low-key rivalries, that it actually exists in the Big Ten. I think Rutgers fans absolutely hate Michigan State, mainly due to the fact that Mel Tucker is just a
douchebag.
He's a heel, and he stole a lot of Rutgers mantras, and he kind of just rubbed it in our faces a few times. So that would be a great day to have visitors on campus. Probably a sellout, big game atmosphere, and so we'll see how things go. I think you've said it best. If he does make a visit to Kansas, that's when we can start worrying. We've already kind of talked about why that's such an issue. One being Bill Self. He's one of the best recruiters in the country. Kansas has some of the deepest pockets in the country. Kansas is also an Adidas school, and Adidas, like we've said, has been making a big push to help its member schools in the NIL sphere. And if it's got two schools that are both Adidas, as maybe two of the top ones, that kind of negates the advantage for Rutgers there. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I still feel confident. What's your confidence level with Rutgers ending up landing Dylan right now?
It's a big number, but I don't know how big. I'd probably say like over 90% still. Like, I'm still very confident. Even if he does visit Kansas, it doesn't really make a threat to me, because I do think Rutgers is in prime position. We've been told Mom wants Dylan to stay home. We know the grandparents want Dylan to stay home. We know Dad's kind of leaning towards another school that isn't even really in the conversation anymore, in Duke. And it sounds like a certain person in his corner that involved with getting a percentage of what he would make is pushing the big name school that has the most money. No shit.
Yeah.
So I think he might visit Kansas, and I think that's okay. I think people are going to sweat for that weekend, the entire weekend, because they're going to be like, fuck.
Yep.
But I do think he still ends up at Rutgers. I don't think there's a question there.
Yeah, I do too. I think Rutgers has been involved too long. They have such a good relationship with the family and with Dylan himself. and they've put in the time. Like they've been the only school really to be at every single one of his games that were attendable, as in they were in the live period and not in the dead period. So I still see them ending up with Dylan. But it seems like, he just wants to play this process out a little bit more. Like you said, there's some people in his corner who want him to slow down and really kind of be more methodical and maybe take some other things into account that aren't necessarily about on the court items. We'll put it that way. So,
moolah,
baby.
Anyway.
All right, guys. I think that's kind of it. Was there anything else you wanted to hit on before we sign off?
Yeah. We're not done with hoops yet, are we? I didn't mention the AceBailey thing. Pike and Knight went down to they were going to Atlanta for some kind of Jim Calhoun induction ceremony, because the man's just a legend that he just gets inducted somewhere every weekend. But on their way down, they stopped in a place that's only an hour and a half away, which I learned that the other day. Learned something new every day. They made a pit stop in Chattanooga, Tennessee, which is apparently an hour and a half from Atlanta. I don't know if that math adds up, but that's what I was told. To see the Bailey family. Knight and Peichel stopped in, said what's up, hung out for a few. Good to get just in the good graces of the parents, make sure everything's status quo. I know after talking to a couple sources, it sounded like that meeting went really well. I know everyone, including the Bailey family, is very excited for the upcoming season. Ace wants that state championship more than anything right now. And he's going to get some really good competition to start the season. There's rumors they're trying to schedule Montverde against McEachern right now. Nothing set in stone. It sounds like Montverde is the one that's actually backing off a little bit, which, whatever. But I'm sure they have probably a crazy national schedule. So I'm sure everyone's probably trying to schedule the number one team in the country. They do have two set dates. One set date, one set game. Early December, they're going to start off by going to Chattanooga, Tennessee to play against a big name opponent that has still not been announced yet. That's going to be a cool kind of homecoming type thing for Ace. Because I know everyone sees him as a Georgia prospect. He is actually a Tennessee native. So we'll see what happens there. I think that's December 8th or 9th or something like that. And then they will head down to Florida for December 19th in the City of Palms Classic in Fort Myers. They will face off against, what's that team? Don Bosco Prep. They have this really good 2025 center. And they have DylanHarper too. So that would be cool to watch Dylan and Ace go at it. I don't know if they'd actually guard each other. Probably not, I had to guess. But maybe a couple plays. You never know. But we're working on something there. Might have some live streams or something going on there. You never know. But that's it. That's all I
got. There was one other thing too. This is a wrestling recruiting news item.
Yes, I have something else after that. You go.
Is it basketball related? If it's basketball, why don't you do it now?
Gambling related.
Gambling. Oh yeah. Okay. So wrestling related. Rutgers had a big time visitor in the past week. Anthony Knox, the soon-to-be junior wrestler out of St. John Vianney, two-time state champion in the state of New Jersey. He's on pace to be he's trying to be one of only, I think, one or two four-time state champions in the state of New Jersey. He's the number 4 overall pound-for-pound wrestler in the class of 2025, the number 1 at his weight class. He visited Rutgers. What are you hearing with him in his recruitment, and what chances do you give Rutgers in this one?
So I talked to our wrestling guy, Lex. He told me that right now it's between Rutgers and Cornell. It does sound like Cornell is pretty much in the lead there. Cornell is, I forget what he said. He said something, she said there's probably about a 35% chance that Rutgers could land him. So that's higher odds than I expected. But it does sound like he is a Cornell lead at the moment. So we'll kind of have to wait and see what happens. Right now, I don't. But the fact that he's on campus recently could have changed a couple things. This info's a couple days old now, so it's like we'll have to learn more as it develops. But recruiting's weird. Recruiting could change in a minute, could change in an hour. We're hyping up the whole Dylan and Rutgers train. That could change tomorrow. That could change as soon as we end this pod. Like, this recruiting changes literally hourly at this point. So as of right now, it sounds like Knox is leaning towards Cornell, but the recent Rutgers visit has definitely helped their chances.
Love to hear that. Let's talk some gambling. You wanted to
Yeah, see, so
go into that?
yeah, people wanted to ask us about our picks since, you got to brag about your winnings on our post-game pods. I mean, hey, by all
Well,
means, brag about it.
you got to. So, all right, I'll give you guys 3 picks that I feel good about this weekend. I just want to make sure.
Let's hold on a sec. Let's hear what you had to say. If you didn't watch the post-game pod, let's talk about your big wins first.
All right, let's do it. So last week, obviously week 1 of NFL, week 2 of college football. I think early in the season is a great opportunity if you're really paying attention to have an edge on the field. I think Rutgers will continue to get some shade thrown its way from the gambling community because they just have seen Rutgers for the last decade be a team that you can't really rely on, a team that's not very good. I think this Rutgers team is better than a lot of national people are expecting. I think you see the gambling tide start to turn Rutgers' way when you see that line movement that happened this week. So the line opened Rutgers Temple at 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
It has since climbed all week. It is now, I believe, sitting at 6.5. So I was on Rutgers heavily to start the season. I had Rutgers in the money line. Obviously, you guys saw not money line. Rutgers spread weeks 1 and 2. You guys saw that with my predictions. Both of those hit. I was kind of, as a lot of people were, kind of in a wait and see mood with Colorado. Week 1, I didn't expect them to go into TCU and win that game. I don't think many people did. They were a 20-point underdog. They came out on top. One of the strangest lines of the season, in my opinion, will be the week 2 Colorado-Nebraska game. Colorado was only a 2.5-point favorite at home against Nebraska. If you're listening to kind of any of the national buzz about what was going on there in Boulder, it was just palpable. Like they were talking about comparisons to the early 90s when they won a national title with the amount of buzz that was in the city. And quite frankly, Nebraska didn't look very good opening week. They turned the ball over 3 times against a bad team. I don't remember who they played week 1. But it was clear that Jeff Sims was turnover prone. Shooter Sanders was the complete opposite of that. He hasn't thrown an interception yet. I didn't see how they weren't going to win that game by less than double digits, honestly. Early on in the game, it was ugly. I'll give them that. Neither team really scored a whole lot to start the game, but then similar to how Rutgers games have gone, they just kind of slowly blew open a big lead. So that was my other big leg last week that I hit. I teased that one up all the way to 9.5 from a 2.5 point spread. Anyway, so this week I really like Rutgers. I think the sharps are on Rutgers this week. I think some of the guys that we expected to be out this week for Virginia Tech are going to actually play. So I think Grant Wells is probably most likely to play. That's their quarterback. Their number 2 receiver, Jalen Lane, who had a hamstring injury last week, is probably going to play. Their tight end, Dante Wright, who got hurt last week, is probably going to play. Their star safety, Nasir Peoples, probably isn't going to play. So you have arguably the best player on their offense, Nolly Jennings, not playing, and you have arguably the best player on their defense in Nasir Peoples not playing. I just see this one as Virginia Tech can't run the ball for 2 main reasons. 1, their offensive line is terrible. 2, their quarterback, Grant Wells, they run a similar offense to Rutgers, but Grant Wells is really bad at the RPO. So he's really bad at reading the edge defender. And he handed the ball off to his running back at least half a dozen times on Saturday against Purdue when the defender was literally like in the backfield already, like literally in the face of the running back, where Grant Wells should have taken the ball and either kept it or thrown it himself. And the back could have gone into pass protection. And Grant Wells, from what I've heard from Virginia Tech people, I've listened to a lot of their content this week. This has been a longstanding issue. He just doesn't really run that system well, Grant Wells. And so that's a part of the reason why their running game sucks. If their running game sucks, if they can't get that going, Rutgers could just play in, some kind of like 5 DB shell all game and take away the pass. Obviously, they have, from what I understand, they have a pretty deep receiver room. but I just don't see them. If they can't run the ball at all, Rutgers is going to just feast on them. Their offensive line's terrible. Their quarterback's hobbled. I think this is a game where we're going to see a few turnovers. We're going to see some balls tipped to the line that are turned into interceptions because we had 13 pass deflections last week against EJ Warner, and we had 2 picks that were basically thrown right to defenders. But most of the time, some of those tip balls, like those end up being caught by the defense. So I see this one as a game Rutgers covers easily. And the other 2 picks I have this week are in the NFL. So apologies. I really like not San Diego. I really like the Chargers this week. So the Chargers are playing on the road against Tennessee. And this is a game where Tennessee just, if you watch the game last week against New Orleans, they couldn't do anything on offense. Ryan Tannehill was missing guys left and right. He threw a bunch of picks. I believe that they had 5 field goals. They didn't score a single touchdown. The Chargers played a total shootout with the Dolphins in Los Angeles. It was a back and forth game. It came down to who scored last, and that was the Dolphins. I just don't see the Titans being able to keep up with the Chargers offensively. I think eventually the Chargers are going to just take over that game. I don't think it'll be a blowout by any means, but I think the Chargers win that game on the road and cover the 3-point spread. The other game I like, and sorry to all the Jets fans out there, and I'm sorry to Craig. I feel terrible for you guys. I can't, like, the Jets are like the only franchise something like that could happen to.
Burn MetLife down. Burn it to the ground. I don't want to see it. Giants fans don't like it. Jets fans hate it now. Just burn it to the ground.
So you saw on last Sunday, Giants fans, I'll give you guys some time to commiserate too. Giants got beat 40-0 at home against these Dallas Cowboys. I don't see a world in which Zach Wilson keeps them close.
No.
Like, they're going to try and run the ball against the Cowboys, and the Cowboys have an awesome run defense. They have an awesome front seven. They've moved Micah Parsons to a full-time edge rushing role as a defensive end. I just don't see any way that the Jets can do anything on offense. I think it'll be a low-scoring game. Like, the over-under set at 38.5, and the Jets are 9.5-point underdogs. So if you do the math there, I think that Vegas is expecting the Jets to score, what would that be, like less than 14 points? I don't see how they hit 14 points, period. Like, the Jets have a great defense too, but at some point, these Cowboys are just going to take this game over. Zach Wilson's going to do Zach Wilson things and turn the ball over. I don't see any way that the Jets even come close in this one, and it is a big spread at 9.5, but I think the Cowboys cover. Those are my 3 picks this week. Cowboys 9.5, Chargers -3, and Rutgers -6.5.
All right, I got to pick your brain about one thing, and we'll start with the NFL tonight. Big game, Vikings-Eagles. The spread just dropped to -5.5. I'm looking at it was 7.5 yesterday.
I'm seeing 6.5. But
am I crazy? Like, are Eagles easily going to cover that, or what?
So the Eagles are already dealing with some early season injuries. Kenneth Gainwell's not going to play tonight. He was the back who got the majority of the work against the Patriots on Saturday or Sunday.
Have like 6 backs.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about that because I think Rashad Penny's kind of a better back anyway. I don't know if he's recovering from an injury, but they have a deep backfield, so I'm not worried about that. Reed Blankenship is one of the starting safeties who will not play tonight either. He got banged up a bit in Sunday night's game or Sunday afternoon's game. They have one other key player who's also going to miss the game. But, I mean, if you watched any of the game on Sunday, the Eagles versus the Patriots, they were getting so much interior pressure all game. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Fletcher Cox, and the Vikings just announced that Garrett Bradbury, their starting center, will be out this week. So, primetime Kirk has always been an issue. For whatever reason, he's just not great in primetime.
You don't say.
He's going to be facing a ton of interior pressure. I think the Eagles win. This is kind of a stay away for me, though.
Yeah.
The other guy the Eagles lost was their starting middle linebacker, Nakobe Dean. I think the Eagles win, but this is a stay away. I'm not betting on this game in terms of the spread, personally.
Fair enough. I do have to say, I know you're the gambling guy here. I'm going to throw you some picks here, and let me know what you think about them. Penn State -14.5 versus Illinois. I think they're well. Hear me out for my reasoning at least.
Go for it.
I think Franklin is out for blood. The man put out fucking 63 points against Delaware and had the starters in until like 4 minutes left of the game, maybe 6 minutes. Also, last time the two teams played each other, Illinois came to State College and beat the hell out of them. 2018.
Well, was that the like 7-9 overtime game? Is that the one I'm thinking of?
No, this was the 22. It was the 2021. So I think it was that game, but it was the game finished 20-18. I should say.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think Illinois is very good this year. Like they barely beat a, quite frankly, bad Toledo team at home.
9 overtimes, by the way.
9 overtimes. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Toledo's not that bad. They beat an FCS opponent 71-3, but they lost at Kansas this past weekend. Kansas obviously is a lot better this year. Well, Kansas I think started 6-0 last year, but then they lose their star quarterback Jalen Daniels. He's back. I mean, I think Penn State is the second best team in the Big Ten this year. They deserve their top 10 ranking, as much as that really pains me to admit.
Yeah.
But this is their first road. This is Drew Allar's first road game as a starter.
Mm-hmm.
It's a noon kick. I think they should cover that number, but it's not a game that I would be betting. I'm personally going to be betting on this week.
Gotcha. See, now I really like it just because, like I said, he's out for blood. He knows if you need to make the college football playoff with 1 loss or even potentially 2 losses, you have to put up points against people. They factor in points now. And I think between that and between Illinois beating the shit out of them in State College, or not beating the shit out of them, but beating them as a shitty team in State College 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I think he's pissed off. And fun fact, game-winning quarterback that day was a guy who went 8 of 19 for 38 yards and an interception, and Rutgers fan favorite, Art Sitkowski.
How the
that was they won that game is insane.
Well, that was the Chase Brown game. Where Chase Brown just had like how many
220,
yards in that one?
223 and a touchdown on 30 carries.
Mm-hmm.
And then the backup had 24 for 142.
Yeah. And it wasn't even like they were running anything too complex. They were just like running the same plays, and Penn State couldn't stop them. It's wild.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. My other 2 picks right now, I know the MAC has this 16-year-long streak of defeating a Big Ten team, which is just fucking insane. But it won't be this week. Or not a Big Ten. They do have that streak, but I'm fucking up now because I'm mixing up Iowa and Iowa State. Ohio plays Iowa State. Iowa State's only barely a favorite, and I think money line's probably the safe one there because it's minus 165. I think you can close to double your money there. I don't think Ohio's good. I think Iowa State's decent. They put up a fight against Iowa, who has one of the better defenses in the country last week, and then Ohio beat, but not too convincingly, beat Long Island University last weekend. So I don't think that's really a good team and a good Ohio team. And they're already 3 weeks into the season, so they're a little bit more seasoned, I guess, if you want to say that. Probably got a little more dings and bruises, but I don't know. I like Iowa State in that one a lot.
Yeah, they've played all over the country. They started their season off in week 0 playing San Diego State in San Diego. They lost that one by a score of 20-13. They played the next week at home versus LIU. Like you said, 27-10 was the score there. Then they traveled down to Boca Raton to play the Tom Herman-led Florida Atlantic Owls, and they lost. They actually beat them 17-10. So yeah, they're not terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. That's just one I kind of like. And then my final one is another former Rutgers connection, PJ Fleck. I really like Minnesota versus North Carolina. I know North Carolina has a great offense. They have a great quarterback in Drake May, who ended up just beating Spencer Rattler in South Carolina recently. But this Minnesota defense is phenomenal. They're only allowing 8 points per game. I know their offense fucking stinks. Like, you got rid of Kirk and you lose your offense pretty much. Matt Simon's not the guy for offensive coordinator after multiple Rutgers fans were calling for him to be the offensive coordinator. He hasn't been good so far. He's only averaging 19 points per game, but their defense is keeping him in it. This is a basically typical Schiano type team where the offense stinks and the defense is great. But yeah, I think their defense is going to be able to hold Drake May and hold UNC a little bit. And plus 7.5, I do think they end up covering that one. I think it's going to be close, but I just don't see UNC as big of a threat without Phil Longo running the show.
Yeah, that was a bit of a surprise that they had so much trouble with App State last week. I mean, they should have lost that game.
App State, that's what it was last week. Yeah.
Yeah, if you were watching that one, App State had the ball late in the game, and they were winning 34 to. They tied the game late. I'm messing up here. They had a lead in the fourth quarter, and they just couldn't hold on to it. But yeah, I was a little surprised at that one.
Yeah, so I do think I like Minnesota there, plus 7.5 right now. It might have changed since then, but I saw it earlier this week at plus 7.5. And then Rutgers, we got an over-under for finally. 37.5. I just read that.
Really?
Yeah, Rutgers has hit the under in both of their games, and they've also hit the spread in both of their games. I don't know how I feel about that because I did pick 24-13, so I'm like, that kind of, I don't know, man. I feel like I'm smart sometimes. But I think you picked that too, actually.
Yeah,
I think you did, right? 24-10, 24-13.
Something like that. I need to start prepping my predictions a little earlier because half the time what I say on the pod is a little different than what I write up for the War Room.
Yeah.
So, but it'll be around there. I think Rutgers will cover. I think Rutgers will cover comfortably. I just don't have an exact score off the top of my head at the moment.
No, I think they cover. It's the over-under. That's just, I wouldn't even touch. Because Rutgers defense could shut them out, and it could be just 24-0. That's it. Game over.
Yeah, could be.
So, all right. That was a long betting segment, but it worked, We're trying something different. People wanted it, and we're giving the people what they want.
Yeah, hopefully these picks help you guys out this weekend.
Hope everything hits.
Hope Rutgers takes that dub down. So I actually had a 2-leg parlay Jets money line and Rutgers spread that I thought was dead about 4 plays into Monday night's game, and somehow woke up to it being alive. So that would be a nice little hit there. But we shall see. So that's all we got, guys. Thanks again for listening. If you haven't already, please rate and review. We are still looking for a title sponsor of the podcast. So if you have a business and would like to talk about us about a sponsorship, we are kind of open to a lot of things.
I'll wear your business
hat. We're still looking for that.
Every single pod. Put it
put
forward.
Some swag behind us. We'll do
nice little. That could be your logo right there. That could be your logo.
Yep. So we have a presentation deck if anyone is interested. But for me and Richie, this has been another edition of the Net Report Podcast. Signing off.